Year 3. Today we're going to have a look at what is called poetic metre in our poetry lesson today. So we'll start by just doing a little bit of revision of what we learnt last time. So last time we were looking at rhyme, and a rhyme is when two or more words end with the same sound. A rhyming couplet is when the last two syllables of two lines of poetry end with the same sound. Couple means two. Two people is a couple, and a couplet is two lines of poetry. So, as an example, the worm that wouldn't wiggle. Although I am a worm, I never used to wiggle, because when my tummy rubbed the floor, it always made me giggle. I couldn't make it half a yard before I had to stop. I was laughing very hard. Exhausted, I would flop. I'd lay down on the comfy grass beneath the shady flower and recover from my giggle fit. It took me half an hour. Okay, so let's have a look at the rhyme. A rhyme is when two or more words end with the same sound. For example, we've got wiggle and giggle. We've got stop and flop. We've got yard and hard. Got flower and hour. Okay, a rhyming couplet is when the last syllable of two lines of poetry end with the same sound. So in this case, we're saying not the two together. Although I am a worm, I never used to wiggle, because when my tummy rubbed the floor, it always made me giggle. So there's our first one and our second one, and then a new rhyme for the next one. Couldn't make it half a yard before I had to stop, because I was laughing very hard. Exhausted, I would flop. Okay, so there we've got our wiggle and giggle coming at the end of each line, both using the iggle as the rhyme. But let's start our lesson on poetic metre. Okay, now metre is a word that means to measure, and that's exactly what we're doing in our poetic metre. There can be many different types of poetic metre. We're going to look at a basic one today. Some of them can get very complicated. We're just going to stick with some fairly simple ones to understand the concept of poetic metre. So metre is the rhythm structure of a line of poetry. It has two parts, the number of syllables and the emphasis on the syllables. Okay, now metre is just like metre. When we measure something, it's something that has a rhythm about it. So like a metre has a particular distance, and if you were to measure metre after metre after metre, then that would be a bit like a poetic metre. Okay, let's take our example from last week where we looked at Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Now we're going to break it first down into syllables. Okay, and I've put little clapping hands here because if we were in the classroom, we would clap it. You can clap it at home if you like. I'm going to clap it as we say it, but I'm only going to clap it lightly so that you can still hear. Twinkle, 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 little star. How I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Okay, so the two syllable words are where we have to stop in the middle of that word and just change. Twinkle, two syllables. Okay, so let's count them for each line. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 syllables in that first line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 syllables in the next line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 syllables. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 syllables. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 syllables. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so all of them have got the same number of syllables. Now we're going to look at the stress. So the stress is how we say the word. And in the case of twinkle, we're putting the emphasis or the stress at the beginning of the word, and we're allowing that pull at the end just to taper off a little bit. If you listen to the word, we say twinkle, we go twinkle, twinkle. So the emphasis is on the first syllable. Little star. Okay, so we've got a stress, an up, down, up, down, up, down, up meter. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. How I wonder what you are. So again, we've got that up, down, up, down, up, down, up pattern. And you'll see that all the way through as I read it. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Okay, I hope you can hear that stressing of each of the first parts of those syllables. And we've got the same pattern that we're going up, down, up, down, up, down, up in each of those. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Okay, that is our poetic meter. The number of syllables and the way that we emphasize the syllables. Let's have a look at Humpty Dumpty. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. Together again. Let's have a look. Clapping them with me. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. This time we've got 8 syllables. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Again, hump, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now the next one is longer, but we've got 10 syllables. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Couldn't 1, 2, put 3, 4, 5 for Humpty, 6, 7, 8 for together, 9, 10 for again. Okay, and again we've got that same rhyming pattern. Wall, fall, men, again. And here's our stresses on the syllables. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men wouldn't put Humpty together again. Okay, sorry, I just clicked too far. All right, so you can see that this isn't the straight one that we had with Twinkle Twinkle where it was every second syllable, but there's that little bit in the middle there which is less stressed. Okay, and the stress changes when we change from the 8 syllable lines to the 10 syllable lines. But it's still metrical, it still has rhythm. Okay, and another nursery rhyme. Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Jill came tumbling after. Up Jack got and home he trot as fast as he could caper, went to bed and plastered his head with vinegar and brown paper. Okay, let's have a look at our syllables. Jack and Jill, 3 syllables. Went up the hill, 4 syllables. To fetch a pail of water, 7 syllables. Jack fell down, 3 syllables. and broke his crown, 4 syllables. And Jill came tumbling after. So you can see we've got 3, 4, 7, 3, 4, 7. That's our metric or our meter of the poem. Where is the emphasis on each of these lines of poetry? Okay, you could stop the video now and have a try yourself. Where does the poet put the emphasis as they're saying, Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Jill came tumbling after. Okay. If you've stopped the video, have a try yourself. Okay, Jack and Jill went up the hill, so up and hill, to fetch a pail of water. So fetch, pail, water. Jack fell down, Jack and down, and broke his crown, broken crown, and Jill came tumbling after. Okay, how did you go with that? Okay, that's our lesson on poetic meter for today. Your task today is to write 2 rhyming couplets using poetic meter. Now, an easier way of doing this is to use the poetic meter of one of the poems that we've already looked at, or another one that you might know. Now, to be successful, your rhyming couplet will need to have 2 lines of poetry that end with the same sound on the last syllable. So that will be our rhyme. To use poetic meter, you must have a matching number of syllables in each line and the same emphasis on the syllables in each line. But as you saw in the examples there today, that there is also, when you have got your rhyming couplet, your next couplet can follow a slightly different pattern. Okay. Have your best one ready, and we're going to share them in the Zoom or at school tomorrow. For extension work, see if you can write 2 sets of rhyming couplets together using poetic meter. Now remember, have some fun, but remember your poetry has to use appropriate school language. Okay. Thank you, everyone. That's finished for our lesson for poetic meter. If you found that difficult, then the video is always here for you to come back and listen to again.